All right, everyone, I should be live. We'll make sure that's actually the case on Rumble, because sometimes it has some problems. The last stream dropped for a few minutes, but it came back online in its due time. OMG, it's Angry Gaming on YouTube. Sticks, chicken or steak? You can only eat one for the rest of your life. Definitely steak. I'm not a huge chicken eater. It's good if you put it in a salad, like if you marinate it, chopped up into little pieces with a nice soy sauce, some oil and herbs and stuff. It's tasty. It can be made really well. Fried chicken can be really good, but steak is better than that. Not even a super chat, just answering the question. Not a banned account. The time grows late. Hast thou forsaken us, Tarl? No, I'm here. David Hunter, hi Sticks. I have 5 gallons each of split peas, lentils, American jasmine, and basmati rice, dried red kidney, lima, etc. beans, flour, sugar. What am I missing? The toilet paper and the freezer burritos. Always get those, in case you get constipated, you eat a couple of them and the problem will solve itself. Let me refresh this and make sure that I'm live on Rumble. Hopefully. Yes, indeed, I am. There are people watching. The chat is working. And we've got good morning, everybody. Morning. Good morning. Morning, Clankton. Oil and fat. He is missing that. Yes, I would store some lard. Lard is always good. We'll be getting to a few, slow down your messages. It's important. See you in 5 minutes. Yes, I have to do slow mode. Right now, there are only about 400 people cross-platform watching, but that will balloon to several thousand people within the next 15 minutes or so. So I have no choice. I value what you have to say. I do the best that I can. Anyway, we have a few things that I wanted to cover. Of course, the Sunday Q&A show is almost entirely straight Q&A. The Saturday show, I want to get to some news in general, give some updates on what's happening. First and foremost, I wanted to talk about the Destiny Twitch ban, something that initially I wasn't going to weigh in on. I wasn't going to talk about it. I'm not a fan of Destiny, and the relevancy is not necessarily high for the most part. That being said, I figured, Ian and Lauren Southern and Vaush and a bunch of other creators have weighed in on it, so I figured I'd give my own opinion. And here's my opinion in a nutshell, and it's multifaceted, which my material tends to be. And for those of you on Twitch, this is pertinent to your interests probably more than on other platforms. I do not support censorship of any kind by corporations or by states. We're being fed a false dichotomy actually right now, where in the US, it's mostly the government encourages corporations to censor people. In the European and Eastern sense, it's more, no, that shouldn't be happening. Private companies shouldn't do that. Government should be doing that. I remember Angela Merkel actually, I think it was last year or the year before that, was talking about this. And in the wake of Trump being banned on Twitter, certainly she weighed in and said, well, you can think what you want about Trump, but this is not an issue for corporations to have the say over. It should be the government. I disagree. I don't think that either corporations or the government should have such say. If it's legal under the laws of the nation in which the company is based, for pure patriotic, pragmatic purposes, they shouldn't censor anyone. That being said, I will say this about Destiny. He's a manlet, a disingenuous hack. I think wasn't there a leak actually last year that showed that he was getting 6 figures from Twitch just to stream there exclusively. So they're banning someone that they're paying money to, I think, and it makes no sense. I oppose the censorship, but I'm definitely not going to defend the character of the person. It's sort of like, when Hassan Piker got a temporary ban, I think it was off YouTube last year. I came out, and again, I said in spirit, because I'm so anti-censorship, I have to defend against the notion of banning. But I can't say anything in defense of the individual himself, because the individual is astroturfed, disingenuous, talentless, unlistenable. I've seen a few clips and a couple of streams that Destiny has done. I don't like his delivery. I don't like the so-called debate style, so-called because it's not really debate, it's talking over people. I'm not a fan of the progressive agenda and the obvious astroturfing involved, the obvious corporate astroturfing. I think he's insufferable. But I'm not going to defend Twitch in banning people. I'm not going to sell out and do that. People who have watched my material for more than a couple of videos, you've probably heard me mention censorship a couple of times, because it's like 50% of the videos that I do at this point, cross-platform. I don't support any form of censorship. It'd be really funny. He ends up streaming on Rumble. It could happen. Oh boy, would that be funny. He might even already have a channel there. He's more on the opportunistic than ideological side as far as leftoids go. So he probably will. I mean, if he gets, an offer, hey, we'll pay you or give you a higher return per click or something, it probably would go there. Some pure chicken. I'm reporting you for anti-chicken discrimination. Why do I get the feeling that you're the one that talks about the toolbox on a regular basis? Tommy Dimatina, hey Sticks, what do you think about the slip of Biden telling troops they'll be going to Ukraine? I think that was just his normal incoherence. The White House clarified that pretty quickly, that wasn't happening. I think that he was trying to insinuate that from their station in Poland, they were going to be seeing things like that in Ukraine. And they will, to tell the truth. The Ukrainian people are resisting the Russian advance and apparently making some headway around Kiev. So we'll see what happens. I think that was just a slip of the tongue moment, literally. But it's telling because Joe Biden he has Alzheimer's disease. Often he doesn't know what he's saying. Cold Warrior, I like lentils. They make you shit good. I am with Joe. I like lentils too. Liz makes excellent lentil soup. Even lentil soup from the can is actually pretty good. Not that low salt bullshit though. Get the one that's actually got enough salt in it, or you'll find yourself adding more and paying extra. Yeah, I love lentils. They're really, really great. You can prepare them as well, make like a masala or something out of them. But people should also be able to eat meat. HF. Morning, Sticks. Just wanted to thank you for all the hard work you put in to keep us all informed. I started watching you when the pandemic first hit and love watching your channel grow. Well, thank you very much. Much more content to come. OMG puppies. Lard, flour, sugar, lentils, beans, all storable. White rice is storable, but brown rice becomes rancid, oil in the husks. Yeah, white rice, it does store better, although there are certain advantages to something more hearty. Lentils are great. Brown beans, lima beans, kidney beans. Beans can be dried. Corn cobs, if you're doing flint corn, to process into hominy with lye, you can store the whole cobs for years. The Native Americans used to do that, actually. It's nutritious, good source of calories. You can also feed it to animals, grow hay or something, I guess. Sticks Hexen Toolbox. The chicken guy wasn't me, I swear, I promise. K-Max McDonald. Sticks, with Lauren Southern's ban, are you the only conservative left on Twitch? Is the censorship why that platform is 100% left and far left? Well, you have to choose your battles, and you have to make sure to nuance your words. This is why I do new tech exclusives. And remember that Cornell and The Verge and some other legacy and missing link media leftoids are literally trying to promote the concept that YouTube should ban people from having any additional income streams while making content on the site. The idea is that demoting their material and removing them from AdSense is not enough. Well, I've never even been removed from YouTube's AdSense because I know when to pick my battles. I'm going to continue to promote my offsite presence because that's basically, with the old tech sites, in some cases, is the only point to being on them. Like even Facebook, which I don't use. If I was, it would basically be saying, hey, I'm on Minds. So, Josh, can I email you a list of leftoids to mock? I think I could probably write the list myself. You can DM me on Twitter. My email is mostly for work purposes, like my literature and stuff, communicating with my artist. Homeschool dropout. What's a good starting point for getting into and learning the occult? Also, you think some people got cured of their TDS after seeing how bad the alternative to Trump is? LMAO. Yeah, the latter, definitely. Not a majority of people, because people are lemmings, but at least some minority of people have definitely recanted their support for globalism and Bidenomics, mainly because it affected them. As long as it was only affecting the lower classes, all these NIMBY middle classers didn't care. Now it's beginning to affect their bottom line. Oops. As far as the occult, go to the Tarl Warwick's Books blog, WordPress or Blogspot. You'll find all sorts of literature there. Just find what you're interested in. There are different categories. Sebastian Monroe. Imagine a site with the names of leftoids to clank on. I had thought about stuff like that before. You'd probably get a deplatform, though, for raiding tendencies. You're doxing people by using their publicly available usernames. I'm a song, sugar, spice, and everything nice. These were the ingredients used to create the perfect little girl, but Professor Utonium accidentally added an extra ingredient to the concoction, Chemical X. I get the reference. I used to joke that there was a mentally disabled version of the Powerpuff Girls called the Sourdough Girls. I was never a fan myself. Interesting concept, but I mean, by that time I was like, cartoons, I'd rather watch something live action. I'm also monitoring Rumble here. Yeah. Yvonne Amari on Twitch. Wear t-shirts with a message. Get creative. Yeah, that is a good idea. You can put a message on a shirt or something like that, and you can live stream or whatever. By the way, apparently you're not even allowed to show clips of Destiny now that he's been banned, but I think he got banned 5 times before. So, you know, indefinite doesn't necessarily mean forever, especially when you're paying someone to stream. Opinionated Junkie. Don't care about the Destiny ban. It's like Scar being killed by hyenas. You play with pigs, you get dirty. Well, yeah, I mean, I understand that, but again, I will make it clear, and I will do this no matter who's banned. I don't care how far left they are. I'd do this if Vaush was banned, and he has a personal fucking problem with me for some reason. Anytime that someone is banned, and they're not breaking U.S. law, but they're banned from a U.S. company, Twitch, YouTube, etc., I will oppose it on principle. But I'm not going to defend their AstroTurf lack of personality. No personality. There's no talent. It's not interesting. It's grating to listen to. Useless tools of the establishment, most of them. Seeing sites, countries such as Finland and Sweden, instead of joining NATO, should get nuclear weapons. That's a terrible idea. But anyway, Russia's not going to attack Finland. I think they learned from the last time they tried to do that, and I don't think they want to lose territory. Jenkenhofer, what position were you and your wife in when you impregnated her? I'm not going to talk about that sort of bullshit. Even if it is amusing, it's like, you know, come on. Avenging Pineapple on Twitch. This is by far the best stream on Twitch. I mean, I agree. I totally agree. You should definitely share it out. Got, I think, almost 4,500 people actually following the channel there. I'm only doing a couple streams a week. Some weeks it's only one, because the Saturday stream, it's like, you know, sometimes I feel it, sometimes I don't. Saturday is a good day for getting like extra housework done, you know, vacuum the floor and stuff like that. But I figured I'll buckle down and do a stream today, because we've also got other things to talk about. I'll get to a couple more super chats, then we'll go through that. Vault of the Future. Come on, man. Crack pipes will stop Russia, man. My son is a strong dude. Train hard for this. Putin can't hang with the likes of my boy. Yeah, I mean, Hunter definitely could drink Putin under the table, even if they were using bottom shelf vodka. Will Gooding, Sticks, what are your thoughts on more nations being offered membership into NATO? And if in favor of the idea, which nation should this membership be granted to, e.g. South Korea, Vietnam, Taiwan, Ukraine, etc.? I have no problem with nations allying with each other, and NATO expanding does not bother me. It's not an act of war to form a military alliance unless the person claiming so intends to attack them or feels threatened by them. Russia does not feel threatened by Ukraine. Ukraine was not gearing up to invade the Russians. They were not gearing up to throttle the Russian cybersecurity or something like that. They apparently have agreed to take NATO membership, by the way, off the table. It's neither here nor there. It doesn't matter. Russia already borders NATO. I think that separate alliances in the Pacific are more meaningful. One's less constrained than NATO. We already have reciprocal defense treaties with like 30 other countries. So just to be clear, NATO is not the end-all be-all of military alliances. Half of Latin America is allied with the United States that way. Sebastian Monroe, I talked to Adam Krigler yesterday. I forgot you're postponing guest appearances until after the coming of Little Sticks, but he's uploading on Rumble. Yes, I'm not doing any appearances until then. The only streaming I'm doing is my own. Christian Delorme, your thoughts on Trudeau getting owned at the EU Parliament? Hilarious. He deserves it. Beefy King, are you going to give your kid an American name or European? I'm not going to say anything about their name. Nobody needs to know anything about their identity. Until they're older and they can make the choice themselves whether they want to be public or not, they're just a kid, you know. They have the right to just go out and, you know, throw pebbles around and eat bugs and kid stuff. The good stuff. Czech Republic allows for concealed carry of 2 pew-pews. Is this a European alternative for conservative and libertarian Americans? Also, how do you feel about buying expensive quality clothes versus low-quality cheap clothes? Most of my clothes are cheap. I was a Salvation Army kid because I'm raised in a lower class. Just as good as anything, you know, that you get, you know, that's high class. For the most part, I mean, you can't skimp on a suit, maybe, if you want it to be comfortable. But I mean, unless you're getting your monkey suit on, if you're just getting a t-shirt, just get it bottom shelf. Get it used. I got all sorts of cool used clothes. I got one that says Salem on it. I had one that was like from Rotterdam, actually, when I was a kid, as some sort of concert. The Grizzly, going to my best friend's funeral today. Is there any good news I can focus on to help balance this horrible day out? The good news is that it's always darkest before dawn. So we're dealing with 5 or 6 shit situations in world politics and economics right now. But it will get better. I mean, the world is not going to collapse. We're probably not going to have a nuclear war. And if we do, then you can hunt rad roaches and eat them. Free food. And of course, they're not very dangerous. You know, they just jump at you and make clicking noises, and then you just hit them in the head with a baseball bat. You eat them. Salty Iron Worker, I have a wake and bake question. Where do you think America would be if Trump had 8 years of mainstream media and Dems that supported his administration? Thanks for all your hard work. I think if Trump was treated when he was president the way Biden is being treated by the legacy media, I mean, if they bent over backwards literally for him, not only would he been reelected, it would have been a sweep that would have been legendary. It would have been close to the Ronald Reagan reelection sweep. Sheena Ray, just saying hi and let's go, Brandon. Biden is a disgrace. Thanks, Sticks. I heartily agree. Inquisitor Jack, McCormick has an Old Bay Bloody Mary mix. Makes a phenomenal marinade for white chicken meat out of the bottle. Moist, seasoned, and tangy. Yeah, see, I mean, if I'm going to do chicken, it's going to be Asian style. So soy sauce and the right herbs and spices and stuff. Marinated for hours, cut up real small, cooked in the pan, and then usually added to something else. Steak, you don't need quite as much attention for. Uper0987. People who want war are insane, stupid, and or have a financial interest involved. Yes, or they are immune to the draft, as I pointed out yesterday. That happens. Let's get to a little bit more news. Oh, we've got one actually on Rumble. Cam2425IA. Your chain is only as strong as your weakest link. Unfortunately, our weakest links are president, VP, speaker, etc. Yeah, it's a problem. I would say that the VP is probably the weakest link in more ways than one. Kamala Harris is nuts. But anyway, we covered the Destiny Twitch ban. Again, I'm anti-censorship, but I'm not going to speak out in favor of anything about his content or personality because I think that he's talentless. Also disingenuous. There was a time, and I've told this story, for anyone that hasn't heard this, it's new to you, that I agreed to debate him. Actually, this was years ago. And then a mutual, someone who was actually a mod for him, I think on Discord, I can't remember, tipped me off to the fact that basically his strategy was going to try to rope-a-dope me into types of conversation, topics, and opinions to get me financially banned. The idea is for off-site behavior, like on Patreon, you can be banned for that. I think this was pre-Sargon being kicked off the platform, so I was making quite a bit of money on there. And so I said, well, that's, you know, if you're going to argue in bad faith, I'm not going to debate you, fucker. And so I canceled it. And now I still have Manlet fans occasionally claiming that I was afraid to debate him. They know absolutely nothing about the backstory, and you know, they'd be too stupid to understand it even if they did. So who cares? Anyway, we'll talk about a couple of other things. First, I guess we'll talk about the Biden shortages. As I reported this morning, I made a video on the topic. Biden has effectively come out and stated unequivocally, he's saying this will happen, that there are going to be food shortages in the U.S. and Europe based on the U.S. response to Russia invading Ukraine. And I explained how this wasn't necessary, There are alternatives. There are definitely ways to ease the pressure. I mean, imagine any other president coming out and saying, hey, you people who pay me to represent you at the executive level, you're going to suffer. And it'll be self-inflicted. It'll be the result of my policies. Just fucking get over it. It's necessary. Can you imagine if Trump had said something that approached within 10 leagues of what Biden said the other day? The reaction would have been impeachment. I guarantee that Pelosi and the Dems would have wanted to impeach Trump if he had said what Biden said just the other day with regards to his reaction to Russia, which leads us into another story, which is that Elon Omar and certain other morons are trying to impeach Clarence Thomas, yes, of the Supreme Court, over the fact that his wife, not even Clarence Thomas, but his wife, had opinions about January 6th and was in communication with, I believe it was Mark Meadows of the White House, the Trump White House. And I'm thinking, if you can impeach someone for what was done by their close relatives, what does that say about Joe Biden? And that whataboutism even comes up in replies to the basic story. The difference is that Hunter Biden's laptop, which there's other breaking news about that. Just look up Hunter Biden laptop biolabs if you want. I don't think that I'm allowed to iterate any further on a YouTube or necessarily even a Twitch stream, but just look it up for yourself. There's breaking news on there that's significant. In Hunter Biden's case, there were emails and pictures, these were revealed last year, that show that Joe Biden engaged in arguably an illegal quid pro quo as vice president, brokered by his son using business deals, including with like cartel leaders and tin horns and shit like that. Not just in Ukraine, by the way, in Latin America and other countries as well. With Clarence Thomas, there's no evidence whatsoever so far, other than a string of texts of his wife communicating with someone, that Clarence Thomas did jack shit. I strongly advise the Democrats to impeach him. And here's why. The American people at that point will probably wake up and say, why are they wasting time doing this based on what his wife said? Because they won't have any further evidence. They're not going to find it. Instead of tackling inflation, instead of tackling price hikes, instead of tackling shortages and shipping problems, instead of talking about Ukraine, instead of talking about the border, all of these other things that are actually meaningful to the average person. I hope the Democrats are nuts enough. I hope Elon Omar and her other leftoid ilk get their way. And Pelosi will be reluctant. You know that. Pelosi hopes that she doesn't even have to respond to this. If she does have to respond, it'll probably be to half-assed. Well, we've got questions about this, but we're not going to rush to proceedings right now. Now is not the time. We're at war or something like that. I hope that Elon Omar and AOC and all these morons get their way. I really, really do. Because it would be so great. It would be so great to see the Democrats once again waste weeks or months of time, millions of taxpayer dollars, considering impeaching a Supreme Court justice. When's the last time, by the way, that happened? I'm actually going to look that up. SCOTUS impeachments. U.S. Supreme Court impeachment. List of individuals impeached by the House of Representatives. Yeah, when was the last time that this happened? And they were probably acquitted. Yeah, you've got Trump, G. Thomas Porteous Jr. He was a district judge. Was there ever... I don't even know if another SCOTUS judge was actually U.S. Secretary of War Belknap back in 1876. Andrew Johnson. Okay, the last time was Samuel Chase. Guess what the date was? 1804. That's the last time that happened. Yeah, so for the second time, and it happens to be the black man on the Supreme Court. That's going to go over really well with the id poll crowd. So yeah, if they want to do something that hasn't happened in 200 years with an inevitable acquittal, I strongly suggest it. Oh God, I hope that happens. I really hope that they're crazy enough to do that. I mean, I know that the leftoid side is like AOC. Elon Omar is openly calling for it. I know that these people will support it. I'm hoping that the neolibs are crazy enough to think it's a good strategic move. Oh, boy. I would laugh so hard. I'd have to get extra caffeine. I'd have to like stockpile a Red Bull behind me, like a whole crate of it, because I would definitely need to cover those earrings. That would be the best show ever. Seeing sights. What odds do you give that Biden won't finish his term? 50-50. roughly. He's old. He has health problems. And if he does, I give it less than 50-50. He's crazy enough to run again. And if he does, he loses. John Hoyle, I hope Sanders rises to relevance again so we can enjoy your precision mockery of him. I miss the Stick Sanders voice. Yes, I would love it if he ran again. Hey, he'd be crazy to. I mean, he's older than fucking Joe Biden. He's pushing, 84, 85? Even Pat Leahy had the grace to drop out at some point. Geek. Zelensky was told by the U.S. that joining NATO was not possible, but to talk like it anyway to pressure Russia. Is Biden admin partly responsible for war? Biden's admin is more partially responsible for war by undermining the U.S. energy sector and therefore basically putting the last brick in the wall as the foundation of Russia's chutzpah, their bravado as far as the situation goes. If we had competent leadership and a good energy economy, Russia would know better. They wouldn't have the capability to invade. They'd be crushed on day one. Biden weakened things like he was hired to do for a year on behalf of his appointers and succeeded. Will Gooding. Sticks, did you hear that Biden was just admitted to the hospital? Yeah, apparently he can't stop Putin. Joshua Carrico. Sticks streaming on my birthday. Hell yeah. Of course. It's most Saturdays and every Sunday. Unless there's something else going on that's really important. Tom McMorrow, quick Google sticks per 799 Guardian article KGB files. Ernest Hemingway was briefly an incompetent but enthusiastic trader. Likely he checked out. The sun also sets. Pinko, farewell via firearm. I don't know. I still don't believe that Ernest Hemingway was a communist. God, you read his shit, you'd think the opposite. He was like a libertarian survivalist or something. Just Mike, saw a video of Biden eating pizza with the troops. Their reaction told a lot. Yes, I did see that. If you get a chance, definitely try to find those images. Total cringe. And totally different reaction from the soldiers than what Trump got. He was greeted enthusiastically, almost like a fucking God man or something. By the way, I pointed out the other day, look at the difference as well with regards to the actions of India. Trump goes over to India. Yeah, I think a year or two for his visit. Stadium packed with several 100,000 people cheering. People are literally lighting like candles in front of their Hanuman statue to bless Donald Trump. Biden, he oversees an economy so poor that India's like, well, yeah, maybe we'll buy gas in rubles. We're not going to sanction Russia. Why would we want to do that? Mr. Mojo, $9.99. No comment. Thank you. Adonis Adams, I had a dream in where you gave me an oracle card reading and pulled the card that read Fashion X, Maton X. Does this mean anything to you? No, not really. I'm glad that I gave you a good oracle, though. Fashion Maton. Julia T, any baby names yet? Yes, we have a name, but I'm not publicly disclosing it. We've agreed to keep our child's identity private until they're old enough to understand the ramifications of being publicly known, like on the internet or whatever exists however many years from now, because it can be brutal. You know, there are doxers out there. There are pedophiles out there. There are wackadoodle creepazoids out there. A kid should just be in the yard playing with the cats or, you know, bumbling around in the woods looking at flowers or something. They shouldn't have to deal with the internet. They shouldn't even be using it. No one under 10 should be allowed to use the internet. They should be banned. It should be illegal. Make the internet a lot better. And people over 70 maybe in some cases. Just saying. Bondage Spider on Twitch. Best impression. Yeah, I do a good Bernie Sanders impression because I'm a Vermonter. Some people... Where's Vermont? It's where Bernie Sanders is from. Oh, all of a sudden they understand. I think at this point I'm probably the third best known living Vermonter. I might even be the second best known. Nobody gives a shit about Pat Leahy. Phil Scott definitely wouldn't be on there. We've got 7 Biden loser units on YouTube, almost 2 Biden loser units over on Rumble. A bunch of people watching on Twitch. His streams struggle to get 50 people watching them because he's a boomer. Well, actually, technically he's Gen X, but he acts like a boomer. Yeah. Solid Stowed on Twitch. Tarl is anti-women and anti-people of color. Mr. Mr. Twisted Frenzy, given all that's happened up to this point, what's your predictions for the midterms? Do you think fortification is likely to happen again? There's been defortification in about a half a dozen states, including states that weren't fortified before. So that's not going to happen, honestly. I think in the midterms, the Dems will be crushed. I think Biden loses any chance of passing anything, actually. They'll have trouble passing a budget. And then maybe there will be a shutdown over it, which I hope there is. Let the government shut down and keep it shut down for, I don't know, the next 20 years or something. A crafty Huragok. What do you think about the Russia switching to the gold standard and making unfriendly countries use the ruble to get Russian oil? And what do you think will happen to the petrodollar? First, switching to the gold standard is insane because gold is a tradable, malleably valuable material as well. It makes more sense, honestly, to use a fiat currency, although there are better alternatives. Gold standard's crazy. This is something that I stand against the ANCAPs on. I don't think they've fully figured out what the ramifications would be. Secondly, I don't care if countries pay for oil in rubles. It doesn't matter to me. And as far as the petrodollar, there is no such thing. It's not the petrodollar, it's the aircraft carrier dollar. It's the fact that the U.S. is the only country in the world with substantial enough force projection to maintain a large-scale alliance and large-scale long-distance trade lines. China can't do it. They don't have a big enough navy. Russia can't do it. They're even behind them. The only other country in the world that comes close is France, the French. And I don't think that you want them running the trade lines, not given their current leader or their, historical actions. I think you'd rather have the United States controlling that. The Kiefer 522, any thoughts on the ruble potentially becoming the new reserve currency thanks to Brandon's bumbling with sanctions against Russia? The ruble is not going to become a reserve currency, not one that displaces the dollar. The dollar and the euro are the main competitors. And most of Europe is under the banner of the U.S. You'd be better off betting on the yuan, betting on China's currency than on Russia's currency. I mean, look at the damage to their economy simply because other people decided not to trade with them. And it's ironically, there's an advantage to being an import versus export economy. In the U.S. case, it actually, technically speaking, has an advantage when it comes to these things. Nora Kramer sent $9.99. No comment. Thank you. The Grizzly, how well is the rhino removal process going by your estimates? Do you think the populists are taking over the Republicans fast enough? Not fast enough, but fast enough. I'd say I wish it was instantaneous. All of the old school neocon globalist sellout type should be out tomorrow, but it'll take time. Rome wasn't built in a day, unless you believe their mythology. Thomas in pain. Russia only accepting rubles for oil. Saudi Arabia accepting Chinese yuan. Signal U.S. dollar demise. Thoughts? No, that doesn't signal the dollar's demise. That's not the way that it works. A very large chunk of the world denominates in dollars, including countries that China trades with more. And by the way, when you see this, that image that shows countries that trade more with the U.S. versus China, and it shows the shift towards China over time, keep in mind that that doesn't limit for import versus export. So it's meaningless. Okay, China buys your mango crop. That doesn't necessarily mean you abandon the U.S. dollar and say, hey, we're going to peg to China, a nation that manipulates its currency to the point where the U.S. Fed seems fair by comparison. Great idea. Now let's collapse our economy. Half of those countries were already socialist in the past and abandoned it for a reason. Travis Blaze, if Trump is reelected a third time in 2024, do you think relations with India will improve? Yes, I think relations with everyone would improve. What else do you think may happen under his leadership? A return to what he was doing. That is, we will actually gun for China as far as trade war goes. Their manipulation of trade and constant tariffing will go back to that. The border wall will be expanded more. Some Republicans will cuck, but there will be less of them to cuck because half of them will have lost their political positions. Trump just dropping Mo Brooks, by the way. Some people angry at that. Mr. Mojo, hey Sticks, this is the first time I've been able to listen to you since I was in BMT. The only coffee they had was decaf, but clanking my spoon in the middle of the system as it was hilarious. Oh, sad. A decaf? You poor soul. I tried decaf coffee a couple of times, and it's like basically coffee that they steamed and turned into cardboard. Uper0987, I agree with not saying what your child's name is. Henceforth, she shall be known as Baby Sticks. Sound good to you? Yeah, Clank Jr. or something. That's funny. But no, nobody needs to know my child's name. It's, for security purposes and privacy purposes. I'm a libertarian. I believe in absolute privacy. People should be left alone to do what they want. A child can't consent to being put out there. I hate it when they have a kid and they use it as like a fashion statement. It's like yuppies getting famine kids from Ethiopia and then going to their friends saying, hey, oh, look, I've got a Rwandan child. Oh, I've got an Ethiopian child. Yeah, we're so generous and so wonderful. People do that with their biological children too. They use them as accessories, and it's like the most vapid thing you can do. FBI Glowboy, duck eggs or chicken eggs? Also, do you follow the YouTube channel The Duran? I've heard of them. I don't follow them. They really have their finger on the pulse of Ukraine situation. Lastly, the EU-NATO response has set Europe back 100 years. Yeah, it's harming Europe and the US and Russia and everyone except for China, you'll notice. I wonder if that's a coincidence. I've never tried duck eggs in my life. I had duck meat once at an all-you-can-eat buffet, which means it probably wasn't the greatest duck in the world. It's all right. But no, I've never had duck or quail or any of these others. I've just had chicken eggs. Have I had any other kind of eggs in my life? I don't think that I have, actually. I'm low diversity in my food intake. I have to change this situation at some point. The Great Scalzini, are tarot cards an interesting topic for a cult, or are they a carny scam? I don't believe in tarot cards being literally useful. I prefer oracles and dream interpretation for fortune telling. But they are fun, and there's a million different designs and stuff, and they're fun. That's sort of the parlor game thing that you do with a younger crowd, though, right? Like young adults and stuff. And they sit around, they play tarot cards and read each other's fortunes. It's not really mature occultism. Ariel 21,000. If you are not going to bring back the cat, will you at least tell us her name? She's not camera shy. Farah and Yana are the two cats that we have here. They look similar, especially now that Farah gained a little weight and Yana lost a little weight. They're almost identical. And be hard unless they're on their back, because then Yana, she has orangish fur underneath. Farah has sort of the grayish tawny fur, and then you can tell them apart more easily. And also Farah has a little dot in one of her eyes. Other than that, they do look the same. They don't act the same, though. Rafael Salvador, Sticks, have you held a party with Serbians after hearing what happened to Madeleine Albright? The world is a much better place now with one less warhawk. Yeah, I found it funny that everyone was either celebrating or chiding and clucking their tongues without 99% of them even remembering who Madeleine Albright was. I do, just old enough to remember. But yeah, she was a war pig. Not that any Secretary of State's not. Elgin, food shortage, you say? Perfect time for Joe to forgo his $40K a year salary. No, he's got his 10% for himself, so he won't be doing that. You're supposed to forego a couple of meals, though, in solidarity and patriotism with people literally halfway across the world. Sniper Jared, what do you think of the rumors of Destiny moving to cozy.tv? I think that would be absolutely hysterical. Thus proving, apparently there's some transgendered troll that doesn't like Destiny for what he said, like regarding that or whatever. I don't know exactly the backstory, and it was gunning for him. And one of the predictions that was made was that the people on the far right would come to his defense. Again, I'm anti-censorship, so I can't support the Twitch ban, but I'm not going to defend Destiny. Are you fucking out of your mind? The last person who deserves to be defended on a personal or intellectual basis. Never won a debate, so to speak. The engaged few. The ruble is nothing. The real problem for the West will be when Putin demands payment in physical gold. Well, then he won't be selling any oil, so, it's even Stevens. That won't happen. I don't give a shit if people trade in other currencies. Who cares? They're all interchangeable anyway. They all have their potential usage. People speculate on currency all the time. I've got currency from ancient China and stuff like that. You should be able to use any currency for any transaction as long as the person's willing to accept the currency. And none of these transactions should be taxed, by the way. There shouldn't be sales taxes and stuff like that for in-person things. The engaged few, if you had an egg yolk on your sushi, you ate a quail egg. I don't know that I've ever had egg sushi either. I thought sushi was meant to be fish or bean curd occasionally, which is good. But no, I never have. The best sushi is smoked eel. If you can find it freshly made, you don't want to get like the gas station sushi sort of thing, but it's good. Daniel Rulis, what are your news sources? Big fan. I use RCP, Real Clear Politics. They aggregate from multiple sources. And then 4chan's Politically Incorrect. And if I can't find anything else, I'll scrape the bottom of the barrel and I'll start going to legacy or missing link media sites and crawling across them to see if there's any hot takes I can ridicule. To be clear, anytime that I'm ridiculing a legacy media story, like they're like ripping it apart because of the nature in which it's written, means it was a slow news day. Pocket full of done deal on Twitch. Didn't Vouch destroy you? We've never spoken. He decided to antagonize me by making a video about me out of the blue and ranted about me for 30 minutes after in the first minute of the video acknowledging that he didn't know much about me. And then I responded by saying basically BreadTube can fuck off because they're low info and meaningless. And he spurged out and made another video. And I think he made a third one after that. Never debated. I'm not willing to debate disingenuous hacks with no talent, especially when it was revealed that the BreadTubers are funded by the British government. Yeah, I don't debate glowing ones. I debate real people with real ideas. Miku Huntu, does Twitter bot its What's Happening tab? Every time I look over to it, the tags are full of the same grainy political memes dumping on the right. Yeah, of course they do. They also take off or put on trending categories randomly in order to enforce their views, which are explicitly liberal. Not even leftoid, just liberal. Yeah, apparently the name is Keffels or Keffals or something. That's the name of the person obsessed with ending destiny. But it's like, you know, you can be against censorship, but really at the end of the day, do you honestly care if someone who calls for censorship and actively promotes it by trying to do the disingenuous rope-a-dope thing, if they get silenced on Twitch of all platforms, platform that was paying him 6 figures anyway, I guess, allegedly? I don't really care. I won't support the censorship, but I'm not going to support the subject of the censorship. It's like if they decided if Twitter tomorrow kicks Biden off of Twitter, I would say Twitter shouldn't be banning people, especially elected officials, but I'd still be laughing about it. I'd still find it hilarious and deserving. Sniper Jared, also on the note, what do you think of the rumors of Styx moving to Cozy.tv? I have no plans to branch out further at this time because I'm already on so many platforms I can barely manage it as it is. Cold Warrior, I used to love when Madeline would click champagne glasses with Kim Jong mentally ill. Yeah, Madeline Albright was a real winner. Gary Thomas, hi Styx, do you really think Congress successfully impeaching Thomas would be difficult? Also, I'm happy he's doing better. I think they would struggle to get the votes to impeach in the House. But keep in mind, they need a supermajority of the Senate to actually remove. Impeachment is meaningless. It means that the House, which is an explicitly partisan edifice and getting more partisan every day, has decided to charge you. It means absolutely nothing without the Senate convening and holding a vote. And it's clear they would struggle to get even a majority vote in the Senate. I don't think that Joe Manchin or Kyrsten Sinema, probably not Jeanne Shaheen, would vote in favor of that. And anyone with a constituency that lean towards Black Americans, they're not going to vote for removing Clarence Thomas. Are you fucking crazy? They're not going to vote for that. Not unless they want to lose their jobs, and these people are entirely self-interested. JZH for Freedom over on Rumble. Love the scroll paintings on the wall. I have an old video from years ago where I show off some of the wall scroll collection. These are vintage from the 1980s. I've had them since I was a little kid. I can remember one of my first memories is the dragon one that I have back in Rutland on the wall, alongside a couple of others actually that my mom had bought at the time. That was in the mid 80s. Of course, I was born 88. She'd had them for years, which is why they are cigarette smoke stain. They're more brown than these ones. I think I have 70 of them in my collection now, 60 or 70. And I know there are over 300 in total because I actually did a huge amount of research and I looked over the scrolls for any identifying features. And some of them have marks on the back and they'll say like like 67 out of 300 or something like that. And I can't remember the exact number, but I know there are over 300 of them from roughly the era of the mid 70s when they started producing them, replacing the older silk wall hangs. Actually, I'm fascinated by the subject. Sorry if I ran. Before that, it was generally silk. Silk got more expensive. They transferred to bamboo. And then later on, late 80s, early 90s, they transfer to plastic or plastic-coated bamboo. They also start reproducing these things mechanically. Some of the older ones are hand-painted or partially hand-painted. They're hand transcribed as far as the, if you can see the signatures, which are in red up there. In many cases, you can find duplicates, but they're not exactly the same. I've got 2 or more copies of, I think 4 or 5 of them. They're all different. They were handmade. I mean, yeah, it's a fascinating subject. I've considered writing a book on the topic. Very, very niche in my case, but I like 80s vintage. The 1980s, civilization peaked in 1984 or something, which is ironic. Gary Thomas, hi Sticks, do you really? Oh, I did that one, sorry. Not a banned account. It's my birthday. Glad to be spending it with you. Well, happy birthday. You're the second person whose birthday it is as well. We've got people are getting older. They're getting bored watching me rant about wall hangs, and it's causing them to age faster. The Grizzly, I think if you got into Warhammer, you might enjoy the Sylvaneth faction. Forest Spirit, Tree People. They even have gameplay mechanics based on using forest terrain. I think I'd be an adherent of Nurgle, actually. You know, there was the Ebola epidemic, and the rest was history. Canas, how about getting Scott Horton on? I don't know who that is, but I can look him up. But I'm not doing any sort of like live appearances or hosting anyone until my child is born. And then sometime thereafter, I'll be busy, obviously. Durin Albane, Clank, look up used oil burner. Ah, okay. You can look that up if you want to. Mickelvo, hey Sticks, regarding today's comment about potato-based meals, be sure to try potato pancakes. I've had them. They are good. Boiled grated potatoes, pan-fried with garlic butter. I actually put ketchup on them because they are made of potatoes. I don't care if you judge me. I find it funny that there are so many fewer people watching on Twitch. It's like 130 people or something right now. And yet it's just a nonstop shit show of people trolling one another. I do have to say the chat there is kind of edgy. Works for me. Skunkworks. Have you noticed QAnons have become the Putin files and that Putin is liberating the world? I have a few in my family. Yeah, there are some people that think Putin is liberating people, which is bullshit. It's sad to see, but I mean, if you believe the QAnon LARP for so many years, probably there's some low info involvement there. I pointed that out for years. And I got, a lot of people criticizing me for it. Oh, no, it's real. Real. Just wait another few weeks. You'll see, Sticks. I fucking over and over waiting. Okay, don't spend your life waiting. Go and do something. Knock on some doors. Twisted Logic Gaming. Ayo, Sticks, I'll teach you to play Dwarf Fortress. It's easy to start and very fun once you get into it. Praise Armok, God of Blood. Yeah, if you DM me on Twitter, I'd be game for that. It did look fun. FBI Glow Boy sent me another $10 without a comment. The comment is invisible. See, their technology is improving. Seeing Sight. Supreme Court temporarily blocks order requiring Navy to deploy unvaccinated forces. Gorsuch, Thomas, Alito disagreed, but I side with the majority opinion here. The military should know how to do their actions best. Yeah, the military has much wider latitude over what it does with its forces. You sign up for the military, you are then the property of the U.S. government for the duration of your membership. So probably not a great time to join the U.S. military. Darun Albane, Wall Scroll. The bamboo ones were weaved using a style where one lady knew it, was named a national treasure and paid to open a school. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I have a whole shit ton of them. Most of them are in Rutland, but I wanted some behind me here. There is another one, but the string on top broke. One problem with them is that the string on top tends to be kind of weak. They weren't well made. So you'll find them with yarn, wire, and other things that you can hang them with. The original, usually yellow strings like these, about a quarter of the time, and then keep in mind, they're not that old, are broken. The Woods Nation. Hey, Sticks, they were talking about you on Tim Pool's podcast. Entire group complimenting you. When are you coming back to the U.S.? Oh, I'm glad for that. I like Tim Pool and his people there. When I do, I'm not sure when exactly that'll be. Everything, I mean, when you're having a kid, scheduling kind of falls by the wayside. I will go on Tim Pool's show, though, when I get back. I've already said that I will. That'd be a big appearance. I'd like to meet him. It'd be fun. Yeah, absolutely. Ever a Gamer, hey Sticks, what exactly gives you faith that the midterms will be legitimate and an absolute disaster for Democrats? Well, partially the fact that the last election was a disaster for Democrats. They lost down ballot virtually everywhere, coming in well below expectations. The metric has moved against them by 5 points in the meantime, and a half a dozen states have defortified. They're going to get annihilated. Unless something very, very significant happens in the next few months, they will be absolutely ass blasted in the midterm elections. It's not even a question to me at this point. Crafty Huragok. International trade with countries. 101 use won, 81 use USD, 19 use euro. Yeah, look at the list of those that use the won. And also, it's not all the countries. Really, they should accept any currency for trade. All countries should exchange all currencies freely. Doesn't make sense that someone would say, well, you're only allowed to buy our products if you use the ruble. Steppenwolf, 170, no comment, thank you. By the way, please don't send any more super chats here so that I can go through these. Actually, I think I got through them all. Excellent. Yes, but I will go on Timcast at some point. Now, let me reiterate the basic news here for anyone that just joined. Of course, getting up towards, I think, cross-platform now. A little bit above 3,000 people watching, actually. So higher than normal, especially for the Saturday show. The Sunday show usually has more people. First and foremost, Destiny was banned for the 6th time on Twitch. Reiterating my views, I am against censorship. I don't support banning people for political views. I don't care if those views are hateful or extremist or anything, but you're not going to find me defending Destiny as a person. He tried to rope-a-dope me before. He's untalented. He's unfunny. Also, I think technically ban evading on Twitter. I think OmniLiberal is his second account. Just saying to the person who got him shot off of Twitter, I don't like him. Just like the bread tubers, which he helped to spawn, it seems. AstroTurfed and unlistenable. That's just my opinion. So I think he should be able to speak, but he's not going to be speaking to me because I'm not going to tune in. And that's the old true liberal ideal. If you're offended or you don't like it, if you think it sucks, turn it off. Find something else to watch. People bitch all the time. Oh my God, this person is spewing hate speech. Well, who cares? Why do you care? Go somewhere else. Go watch Barney and Friends or something if you're into that. Secondly, Joe Biden admitting that his policies are going to cause food shortages. So effectively, the president of the United States, the steward, asterisk administration, of course, is admitting that his own trade, fiscal, energy, etc. policies are going to cause shortages of food in the United States. If any previous president had engaged in that behavior, they would be impeached and removed from office virtually instantaneously. Certainly, the Republicans would have kicked Trump out. The Democrats would have thrown Obama out if he had done that. I have never seen so much wagon circling BS as we see with Beijing Biden. And third, Clarence Thomas, of course, the leftoids are trying to impeach him from the Supreme Court. This would be the first impeachment, we looked this up earlier, since the early 1800s with Samuel Chase. So it'd be over 200 years since that happened. To be clear, if they're crazy enough to impeach him, the backlash will be immense, especially because Clarence Thomas is a black individual. They will not remove him from the Supreme Court, even if they do vote to impeach, which would be effectively career suicide for half the Democrats in Congress. The Senate will vote to acquit. It is inevitable. There is no possibility otherwise. Even if they found out, and they don't have this right now, this whole issue boils down to his wife texting Mark Meadows, the White House chief of staff under Trump. Doesn't even directly involve him. If you had an email from Clarence Thomas with his wife where he's parlaying with his wife and says, yeah, we need to stop the steal or something like that, even then they wouldn't remove him from the Supreme Court. They wouldn't have the votes. There aren't enough Republicans in safe districts that could throw Clarence Thomas, of all people, under the bus without getting fired to vote for it. There aren't enough of them. You might get Romney might jump aboard. I don't think that he would unless you did have that. I don't think that any single Republican and several of the Democrats would vote in favor. Not only would he be acquitted, I think it would be a majority acquittal. It wouldn't just be, well, we got 53 votes, but it falls short of the 60 vote threshold. No. I think that a majority of the senators would defend Clarence Thomas. And it would be enormous backlash against Pelosi for allowing a House vote, which she would have to do. The leftoids for encouraging such a vote. And the Biden administration potentially for even talking about the issue. President-elect Pressure 69. You don't tell me what to do. Chris sent $20 without a comment. You're paying me, but you're not even getting your word in. I don't understand people that do that. Unless it's a funny number, like you donated 666 or something. I'm not insulting you. I appreciate the money. I'm just saying you could have gotten a comment in. Gary the Snail, I'll jump in a lake and flash boiled if World War III breaks. Yes, if a nuke goes off nearby you and you jump in a small body of water, you'll be flash boiled. Your skin will immediately boil off the bones, your fat will boil away, your organs will char and turn to dust, and you will die instantaneously. I think I'd rather be out of the water, though, because in the gamma rays, they would, they'd go through your head. Your brain would flash boil anyway, and it would explode your entire cranium. About 1 millisecond before the rest of your body blows apart due to the massive radiation and heat and the pressure. If you're further away, you're actually less fortunate. If you're going to die in a nuclear war, you want to be close to the blast. You want to be within the fireball so that you're just vaporized. If you're further away, the overpressure will crush your lungs and crush your bones, and you'll be laying there very much alive for maybe even a few minutes, sitting in the debris, unless you got fired into a pillar at 500 miles an hour, and you'll suffer that entire time. Yes, you will suffer. Hondo Damano, high five for yourself being awesome, please. Thank you very much. No. Oh, I'll get to one last one before I go off here. Zero Fan Mab on Twitch. Hey, Sticks, what happened to all your houseplants? Did they run away and join the circus? They are outside taking a vacation. I prefer to water them outside so that it's less messy. It's nice weather. They can get some sunlight. I put them out there and soak them down. Last time it was with fertilizer, organic, of course. This time, no fertilizer. Just wanted to soak them. So yeah, I'm going to go off now. Had a great time. We reached more than 10 Biden loser units cross-platform at peak. Went almost an hour, so about right. A lot of news to get in as well. Tomorrow, keep in mind on Sunday, I will do another Super Chat Q&A. That one, it's less news topic based. So I'll talk a little bit about anything breaking or major. Mainly, it's just reading Super Chats and interacting with all of y'all out there. So another good time will be had by all, except for people that don't like me and want me to fail. They'll be sitting there crying until their noodles are as salty as the ocean. That's about all. Peace out.